who's next. Hey, how y'all doing? Back again, another episode of The It Factor. As always, I'm your host, Jeremy Robinson, and today we have someone special. Go ahead and introduce yourself, man.
My name is Ethan Poetic. I'm a two-time college graduate. I am a self-published author of my book called The Inspirational Story of Ethan Poetic, Chronicles of Adversities, Education, Sports, Relationships, and Resiliency. I have 8 forewords, 2 back cover reviews. My book is available as a hardcover, soft cover, ebook on all major platforms, and pretty soon in the month of March 2024, the audio version. Yes. Apple, iTunes, Amazon, Kobo, you name it. It's gonna be out there. You can visit my website, ethanspeaks.com, for keynote speaking events, mental health coaching, life coaching, entrepreneurship. I'm open and I'm thankful for this opportunity to be on here.
Yes, indeed. So with that, man, I say, how are you doing mentally, physically, and emotionally?
I'm doing pretty good, man. It's just your mental health is your wealth. I feel good to wake up this morning. And the thing is this, we don't know when our next day is going to be.
Definitely.
So we got to make the most of each day we are alive to the fullest and be thankful for the little things, because there's somebody who got less than us.
Right. Definitely right about that, man. I feel like a lot of times that we take it for granted that we woke up and the different things that we go through the day. Like, dang, man, I hate, like a lot of people used to say, I hate Mondays. And I'm like, hey, I'm just glad to be here now. And I definitely would say, though, I respect you for saying how you approach life now, man. So I would say, how was it, graduating 2 times from college? I'm a 2-time graduate myself. So how was that for you?
The journey was much different. I didn't go to college right after high school like most students do. I didn't go to college until several years after high school. And it was, through the help of the Tyler program, which is also known as a Tyler Prep, which is a nonprofit organization. It was founded by former CEO, now board member and founder Jordan S. Steffi, along with his wife, Keandra Bear Steffi, and several of the Steffi family members, where the inspiration behind his story was he saw one of his classmates needed money for emergency brain surgery, and he scored 1,000 points. And basically from there, he asked the people to donate money for this cause since he got his 1,000 points, and then use that money for that person's brain surgery. And then from there, the guy had a good recovery. Thank Jordan very much. And that's when he started the Italo Prep program. And for me, graduating from college was just a milestone in itself, because I come from a single parent household of 5. And I looked at my IEP plan. It didn't say any expectations of me going to college. So I exceeded expectations. And out of all the people in like the normal classrooms that I was with, I'm the only one that graduated college. And I'm one of the few student athletes that, under the leadership of my coaches from football, track, and wrestling, graduated from college. Wow. What I was able to do in most situations was, since some of the coaches weren't able to make it to the ceremony, I would show up to one of their wrestling practices, football practices, track and field practices. I dress up in my cap gown and tassel with the college degree. And we take that pictures together right there. That way you can use my story as a tool or resources for the student athletes to say, this is what I really want. Indeed. It's bigger than X's and O's, bigger than crossing the finish line or having that victory for that pen. I want you to become a productive member of society and become greater and come back and help the next group of student athletes. So it becomes that phrase I learned: reach one, teach one. But ultimately, when I graduated the first time, it was at the Giant Center. I remember like it was yesterday. Leading up, I was inside the office of the academic advisor at Harrisburg Area Community College of Lancaster, PA. And I thought it was just a normal time. And next thing you know, she looked at the degree audit with big smiles, and she said, not only do I have more than enough credits to graduate, but also transferred to a university.
Wow.
So I made a decision to graduate
Mm-hmm.
and transfer. And as soon as the college ceremony ended, I was just waiting to hear back from certain people. But leading up to the ceremony, I remember like yesterday, I was at this warehouse
Mm-hmm.
just working a 10-hour shift. After it was over, I immediately left for the Johnson Center up in Hershey, PA. I
Uh-huh.
made it to the ceremony about 15, 20 minutes before it started and have my name called. Was an honor. Had my picture taken, have support, and afterward there was dinner, and it was a pretty good time. Now, when it comes to Millsville University, it was much different.
Mm-hmm.
It was a situation where I remember like it was yesterday. It's my senior year, 2 semesters to go. I have
Mm-hmm.
a math class, I have a communication class to go, and I go into the math class, and I think we are in February, I believe, or March. Normally, everyone's talking amongst each other,
Mm-hmm.
but this time the room was just different, and the vibes seemed different.
Mm.
Because the first college to close down the campus was Westchester, which is part of the PSAC.
Mm-hmm.
And then when everyone looked at their email and noticed that Millersville University is going to be shutting down, all the classes got turned to Zoom due to COVID-19.
Wow.
So,
Yeah.
thankfully, I was able to pass my classes.
Mm-hmm.
Then the following semester, all I had to do was take another comm class, do an internship. And then, since there was uncertainty whether or not I was going to have a ceremony, I ended up having my own celebration here in Lancaster with invited people.
Mm-hmm.
I got my degree audit cleared by my academic advisor and internship advisor, and it was great. But everything came back in full circle in the spring of 2021,
Mm-hmm.
where we actually had a ceremony at Millsville University. And it was just a great feeling. My father figure, who was my neighbor, was there. Jordan Steffi was there. It was great to be there for that moment and
Mm-hmm.
enjoy everything in full circle. When I took the pictures, shared it on social media, made a lot of people proud around the world that you can turn your adversities into your advantage.
Right. Definitely. And I would say with that, how how are you now, man, being a mental health advocate and also being a survivor of your accident that you had, man? Tell us about that and like how surviving that lets you know that every day's you gonna try to make it your best day.
When it comes to being a mental health advocate, I can say I may not have that certification, but
Hmm.
I have the experience.
Hmm.
And my experience of what I went through is documented before I even posted it on social media myself. As far as the car accident goes, it's a lot of injuries from tornado order where I should have passed away within 3 to 5 minutes,
Hmm.
a concussion, hurt my wrists, and eventually emergency surgery had to be done.
Hmm.
And it was a long road to recovery where rehab, being on a feeding tube for several months,
Hmm.
in and out of the hospital again, and then going to the biggest thing most people don't realize, and there's two factors. The first one was when I finally was able to eat again, the doctors start weaning me off the medicines that was like a Christmas list. And I was going through that detox,
Hmm.
not cold turkey. And when you're on all those medicines, my body's five senses were desensitized.
Yeah.
Everything felt different. Seeing, hearing, touch. It was like a complete shutdown. But when I got off all those medicines, it was like a big restart, a regenerator.
Hmm.
But eventually I had to face things like, whoa, I missed out on a funeral. Wasn't able to pay my respects to a couple people who passed away.
Hmm.
I had all these emotions that were just like, whoa, I didn't know I had all this stuff inside of me.
Hmm.
But it wasn't until earlier 2023 where did this newspaper interview. I got interviewed by the Southeast Times, Marquise Lumpton.
Hmm.
And the thing that really stood out and it gave me the answers and clarity was survivor's remorse.
Hmm.
I didn't know I was struggling with that because I knew I wasn't doing no drugs, no alcoholism. I wasn't being involved in any crime or anything. It's just,
Right.
whoa. Survivor's remorse is something I can relate to with people who have to bury a loved one. A parent has to bury a child, a
Right.
parent who has to bury their own parent, or a grandparent that has to bury their own child
Mm-hmm.
or a grandchild. Survivor remorse can be tricky because it could be underlying. We might not know it until we hear the words. And a light bulb goes off, and we're like, whoa.
Mm-hmm.
For me, it was this eye-opening experience, like, wow, if I'd known this much sooner, I could have dealt with this sooner. But we know what we know at the time.
Mm-hmm.
But moving forward, being a mental health advocate, I could teach people the skills and the tools that I learned to not only cope with life, but not settle for a substitute.
Definitely. Definitely.
Because substitutes are just replacing what you were doing before, whether it was vaping, huffing, smoking, drinking.
Mm-hmm.
Because when it's all done, your underlying pain's right there.
Right.
Okay, we all deal with different types of pain.
Mm-hmm.
Some people cope with it differently, but we get with the person that knows how to cope with the thing that we're struggling with better. That's gonna rub off on us better. Like for example, I used to struggle with math in college,
Mm-hmm.
but when I asked for help with the professor, the tutor, the private tutor, and start doing independent work, that's when it became my strength. Same thing with mental health. When we start asking for a mentor, counselor, a therapist, talk to a pastor, they got the private thing, confessions.
Mm-hmm.
Then there's also, talking inside, a salon or barbershop, because that's people's talk.
Right.
Because the research is out there. It's just a matter of, do you really want to do the work and face your honest truth?
Mm-hmm.
I realize most of the things that we experience pain in, there's a lot of stories out there that people actually experience a complete recovery and a breakthrough.
Right.
And now it turns into more of a success story instead of a sob story.
Definitely, man. I would say with that, I say, so what is your it factor, man? Why you do what you do?
Long story short, it just became a situation where my original plan was, hey, I recovered. Let's get a license. It took me like 3 times to get my driver's license with 3 different cars, but I still passed because you
Uh-huh.
can fail your driving test 99 times, but you can pass on that 100 time and still succeed. When I
Indeed.
was working with student athletes, because I'm a former student athlete, I was able to get that job
Mm-hmm.
inside the school at Lancaster. As parents, not that I'm one, and guardians, there's some people, how I say this, in leadership that are not always being making the right decisions when
Right.
being with youth.
Mm-hmm.
And it's people want to do the due diligence and research people. Because
Right.
sometimes the HR department can miss some things and we're not perfect.
Right.
And what was happening over time was people were coming up to me saying, "Is this you from the car accident?"
Oh wow.
And I'm like, "Yes, that was me." But here I am working, like, wow, I would have never known.
Mm-hmm.
And it just became a repeated thing over and over again. Then I had to tell my boss, like, people were just coming up to me about this stuff. And he told me I'm an inspiration.
Mm.
I got to learn how to deal with it. Because I wasn't like, I didn't want this type of attention.
Yeah.
I just wanted to go off in my own adventure. But life has a way of pulling you back into something and turning it around.
Mm-hmm.
So what ended up happening was I ended up realizing, what can I do to like get this attention off of me? So I realized, why don't I just use this influence like Magic Johnson, Shaq, Shaquille O'Neal, and all the other people,
Mm-hmm.
and have posters made to highlight some of the student athletes and local leaders, and
Right.
post that on social media. So when they do research me, they see more of a progressive story, not a past tense story.
Mm-hmm. I like that.
And everything evolved full time, but I realized the gap was just, it ended up becoming bridged.
Mm.
Like what I saw myself was just humility. I'm being vulnerable with a capital V when people looked that up. Or what people were seeing from the outside looking in was, I'm the inspiration.
Mm.
I inspire people to become better versions of themselves. I influence the youth who may be coming from similar backgrounds as me, in a single parent household, a strange father, growing up in poverty. Like, you know what? Ethan overcame death. I can overcome this poverty thing.
Mm-hmm.
And then when, some students that I were working with books and they talk about I'm having a hard time reading, a book, and when they see my book, it's like, you wrote all that? I tell them, you see my picture and face on there? And then it became a situation where certain administrators start buying my books from me directly and use it for professional development,
Mm-hmm.
helping out kids who are in alternative schools. Like, this guy was overcoming death. You just gotta struggle. You just gotta struggle with your attitude problem, because
Mm-hmm.
your attitude is sometimes your altitude. And that it's just more my stories being more used as a tool, while at the same time it's continuing to evolve and progressive. Like, for example, last October,
Mm-hmm.
I was recognized at Harrisburg, Pennsylvania by Ismail Smith Waddell, Lancaster City representative at the Pennsylvania State Complex, with the Award of Excellence.
Yes, sir.
And my story is involving in politics, where I got a letter from Governor Joshua Shapiro.
Mm-hmm.
I can name a lot of accolades and everything. I can make my videos, but I only make the videos not to like boast about. I just use it as to show people that you can overcome your adversities, life challenges like me, and turn it around and end up creating your own success story. Because when we all think we're going through something alone,
Mm-hmm.
that sometimes can be misguided, because you don't have to go through something alone. You have to speak up about it, whether it be in a text, an email, or contact those resources. What I see people nowadays do is want to post something on social media and have people draw attention to themselves.
Mm-hmm.
But sometimes they're not good attention, because some people might want to weaponize your story.
Definitely. You're right about that. Definitely right about
Why
that.
not be the version of I overcame the adversity, now
Mm-hmm.
it becomes a tool. So now when people do mention it, they'll say, look at that person there. Productive member of society and no sob story.
Indeed, man.
Uh, but the other factor is just realizing my legacy becoming greater and greater.
Mm-hmm.
And the one thing I always got to tell kids is, one day my time is going to come up on earth, because all these accolades I got, I can't take it with me, but I
Mm-hmm.
can leave it behind for the next generation to learn from, and maybe even do certain things better than me.
Definitely, definitely, man. And you're already doing that. I see it as a story of triumph, man. When I was doing the research to have you on the show, I was like, man, that's amazing things that you have overcome. But it wasn't more of looking at your past and looking at what you're doing now, the impact you're making on kids and young adults, and also older people and people my age. Even knowing that I'm only 29, I look and I'm like, this brother's doing some good stuff, man. I'm proud of that. I'm glad I can bring someone like you on my show, because it's a story that everybody goes through different things in life, and we all got a great story to tell. And the way that you're telling it, man, is amazing. So with that, I would say, what are some things you would like to be remembered for when it's all said and done?
That's a question. That's a very good question. Growing up, I would say being a student athlete,
Uh-huh.
but I realized being a student athlete is a business. Some people were profiting off of it, like people who want to see you play in the varsity sports, the college games. Then there's also the advertisement, the NIL.
Mm-hmm.
What I want people to remember me, and I'm talking as a person who's a single parent, is hey, I did everything I can with the time I'm on Earth.
Mm-hmm.
There were some delays, but everything came back in full circle. I never invested more than I can afford to lose. I outgrowed some people. I took graduation pictures with several teachers, certain kids to show you can become that success story and cross the finish line.
Mm-hmm.
I want you to remember, you can always look at my social media, whether it's on Instagram, TikTok, Snapchat, my YouTube channel,
Mm-hmm.
LinkedIn, Twitter, that, I might not be your good fit as far as how you want to go about life,
Mm-hmm.
but I just want you to remember that I did everything I can to make the most of what's happened to me and turn it around,
Mm-hmm.
even though I do have an estranged relationship with my parents. And you gotta realize that there's some people that always be with you may not always come with you.
Yep.
Because when you start evolving in life and start outgrowing people, you start going up here and here. There's nothing wrong with coming down here to give people some tools and inspiration, but the people who want to get up on your level will learn and want to be mentored and guided,
There you go.
and we're willing to grow. Because in order for me to like have this success story
Hmm.
and for me to remember it the way I am remembered, I gotta tell you right now, it's a great responsibility. I'm seeing it in a different light
Hmm.
because you can go to the grocery store or a gas station and walk outside and not have people notice you. For me, it's like I got kids walking up on my leg, giving me
Uh,
a hug, and I gotta talk to the parent immediately, like, "Hey, this is who I am. I help your kid out in the school."
hmm.
And I just gotta be straightforward. And the key things I gotta tell them is this: I am a not that I'm trying to like look at someone else doing wrong. I'm a mandated reporter.
Hmm.
All my backgrounds is clean from state, federal, local, criminal, uh, and whether we talk again or not, I just want to let you know that the reason why your kid came up to me, and it's not for no bad reasons, it's for inspirational reasons, because kids got access to the internet.
Indeed, and they see everything.
Yes, and they got more access now than 50 years ago.
Uh-huh.
The other thing what people remember is that, take it one day at a time, take it 1 hour at a time, take it 1 minute at a time.
Hmm.
I didn't have to rush to college. I did it at my own pace.
Right.
There's certain people who graduate college before me, but not living the type of life I'm living because then some of them are not business owners,
Hmm.
but some of those people are parents, proud uncles, proud aunts. But ultimately, I want your memory as the person who overcame the adversities, overcame the hardships, and went from victim to victor.
Got you. With that, man, I would say, what is something that when it comes to everything, and who are you outside of all that you're known for?
Outside of what I do,
Hmm.
I show up to the sporting events because I'm a former student athlete.
Hmm.
You know, I try to tell people, like recently, it was a Facebook post about wrestling, and I'm a former wrestler. Uh, Actually, that the head coach and his wife are actually my neighbors on the same block.
Okay, cool, man. That's what's
And yeah, yeah, and their kids are wrestlers. What their daughter is a state champion,
that's
and
what's
while
up.
the other, yeah, so his wife made a post about wanting all alumni of McCaskey High School who are former wrestlers to show up
Hmm.
for alumni night. So I showed up, and it was great to have he not only be there but also see some of the people that were my teammates,
Right.
a few were my coaches, catch up with them. Then
Hmm.
we took our pictures together. Then we had two lines, one over here, one over there. We did the clap off. The music's playing, and then the student athletes who are wrestlers came out. That's the hallway into the gym, and it was just great to be there, be present. Even though I'm not working inside, the school district of Lancaster anymore,
Hmm.
as far as inside the classrooms, cafeteria, I understand my voice missing. And prior to that transition
Hmm.
to my business full time, there was kids asking me to show up at the mix,
Hmm.
Boys and Girls Club, this after school program,
Hmm.
Lancaster Rec for the ballerinas events, or certain parents telling me, "Hey, my child's gonna be having this celebration on this day. Can you be there? I'm inviting you."
Uh-huh.
It's not that I'm stretching myself out thin. It's just more about just be willing to be at different arenas and different locations to just be positive and be the person in the background.
Yeah, definitely. I like that.
Like for example, I have a younger brother who's a professional motocross racer. His name is Cameron Smith. He
Hmm.
does flat track racing,
Got you.
and we both shine in our own right, and we come at the table equally yoked.
Hmm.
While at the same time we complement each other. Like for example, I have my area of expertise with the books, college, and other accolades. He has expertise with being a certified HVAC
Hmm.
and know how fix up houses and renovate them while being a flat track racer. Like for example, when I had my boat sign days at Millsville University, Coatesville,
Hmm.
PA, in Lancaster, I was the person who was the brand, the talent, the CEO, and the founder, and the self-published author, signing the books, giving my speeches, taking pictures with people. But then the roles reversed, where we're out in Ohio, and I'm in the van with him, going out there with him, and there's people coming up to him, asking for his autographs and pictures, and I'm the person in the background.
Yeah, I like that.
So, and what I'm saying is that I learned to have a balance because it's not always about me.
There you go. Definitely. Definitely, I like that, and that let me know right there that you're a great man because you're able to step back. And anytime I feel the same way when it comes to the podcast, it give me a place to give people action to be able to talk about them. And I'm in the background. A lot of people, man, I love your podcast. I'm like, yeah, man. Don't love me as much as you love the people that come on. The people that come on make the podcast, man. Same with me being a two-time author, man. I love that I wrote the book. My first book, Black Man, me growing up in a single parent home and spoke about me growing up in a rural area and coming to college, things of that nature. But in my second book, I was able to write about the art of networking and all the people I network with through my podcast and it being how I go about it and different things because so many people ask, like, how do you do these things? Or like, how do you get in touch with people? And I said, man, I write out a plan, I pray about it, and I go out and try to do the work. But the biggest thing is it's not about me. At first, it was about me, like, okay, we're going to do this. But just see where it's at now, I'm just thankful I can bring on people like yourself. So before we do close, man, I would say, do you have any short term or long term goals?
Yeah, eventually, my life's gonna change once the audio version of my book comes out with the sneak peek link
Yes, sir.
and the pre-sale orders.
Mhm,
I'm gonna make the announcement now. I plan on releasing it March 19th, 2024, the same day as my anniversary. So that my anniversary be dedicated to that.
mhm,
Um, I'm thankful to have a nephew. He felt like a son to me. I spent some time with him on Christmas Day.
mhm.
He felt like a son to me.
Yeah.
Long-term goals right now is just one day I can become a homeowner.
Mhm.
One day I can, speak in corporate America, continue to get these speaking engagements,
Yes, sir.
and continue to just evolve in life.
Mhm.
Um, for example, I might want to do a mixtape
Okay.
based on spoken word
Uh-huh.
and own, a lot of things outright. Maybe collaborate with certain people on a serious level. Eventually, behind a great man is a great woman. So that can happen,
Uh-huh.
fruition. And then it's also just continue to be myself
Mm.
and continue to step outside my comfort zone with learning new things because it's more than just my story. It's about where else can I make an impact at
Yeah.
on Earth, where
Mhm.
it's not always about me, but just let my presence be known.
Right.
And of course, my social media handles on TikTok, Snapchat, and Instagram was Ethan Poetic 23. You can follow me. Then my Facebook is Ethan Poetic, Twitter Ethan V 23, and my LinkedIn is Ethan Poetic.
Gotcha.
Other than that, my website is
Mhm.
ethanspeaks.com. You can book me for serious inquiries or keynote speaking, life coaching, mental health advocacy, and of course, the books, soft cover, hardcover laminated case, the ebooks available as well on all major platforms and pretty soon to be released on all major platforms.
Mhm.
The audio version of the book, I read it myself. I published it myself. I had help with the person who did the book cover design to make it into a square, not a rectangle.
Mhm.
I had some help with the production side where people were giving me honest feedback and not being around a bunch of yes people, just people were giving me honest feedback where
Yeah.
let's do this paragraph again.
Mhm.
And it took a while to perfect it, but I also realized greatness is a blessing, while at the same time you gotta nourish it and understand the process. And once
Mhm.
you go through the process, you'll eventually cross the finish line.
Definitely. Definitely. I love that, man. So do you have any questions for me?
Yes. What inspired you to do this podcast, and what are your future plans?
Mhm. So what inspired me, man, I definitely would say in college, bro, I was YouTubing. I was a computer science, computer engineering major. And I was every time I YouTube something trying to study, I wouldn't see nobody that looked like me. And I was like, man, it would pay to see somebody that like look like me. And like if I get through these classes, I remember praying and saying, hey, if I get through these classes, I'm gonna do something to change the world. And I'm like, okay, time goes, you graduate and you get a job, and I started working, and it came back again. Like I was like, hey man, I still ain't did what I said I was gonna do, man. I wrote it down. I looked at it, so I spoke to my friend. I was like, hey man, I think I should do a podcast or something, man. And it was back in 2019, and we were just talking back and forth. And he happened to work in the media space already, and he was like, "Well, you get the people. I record it from forever because I know you're gonna keep doing it." And man, Ethan, I would tell you, starting it, I would never see that it got to where it's at now and seeing it grow. So definitely, just keep growing, bringing on people like yourself is my goal, man, and to keep just hitting my message out there and just spreading positivity, man, and changing the narrative. That's what I'm all about, and just being able to give everybody a voice. So definitely love doing that.
I
Definitely.
appreciate it as well because we get to control the narrative
Hmm.
in our own words. That way, nothing's misquoted by the mass media,
Hmm.
and people get to be in contact with us directly instead of indirectly.
Yes, indeed.
Because some people just believe what they see on the internet without researching it, and people have to understand that not everything that's posted
Hmm.
is true. There's some people
You're
out
right.
here who should be doing better things with their life, but instead they want to mis handle things. But
Yeah.
when you research, when you see the truth for what it is,
Hmm.
you can see it because if something's the whole truth, it will pass the test of a challenge and a thorough investigation.
Hmm. You're definitely right about that. So I love doing that, and I feel like in this world we need more people like me and you to be able to do that positive thing because you ain't got to be me, and I know you don't want people to be you, but I do want people to see it and say, okay, whatever you're trying to do, if Jeremy can stay consistent in doing this, I can stay consistent. And that's all I heard the whole show from you. If Ethan can stay consistent in doing this, and he overcame this, I know I can do it, and I think a lot of our people and people in general need to see that. Definitely.
Yeah, I agree because we have to understand that, there's certain things that are in our control that we need to focus
Hmm.
on individual levels. And that's how we eventually grow because most success stories are created when nobody's looking.
Indeed. There you go. Telling the truth, man. So with that, bro, that's the show, man. I thank you for everything, bro. I look forward to working and collaborating with you more, man, and just keep doing what you're doing. When you do come out with the audio version, everything drop, let me know. So that I
I
can
will.
do everything, man. Cause I like what you're doing. Definitely.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I definitely will. Yeah, we'll definitely connect more on the social media on different platforms.
Okay.
Stay connected.
Yes, indeed. I look forward to talking to you soon, brother.
All right, sounds good.